It is time for my updated student/work spreads ideas video. I've been a university student. I have over a year experience working from home. This fall, I'm actually co-lecturing a course at U of T and helping the course go digital. So I feel like I have a lot of different viewpoints and understandings of the different planning needs everyone has. And I tried to reflect that in the spreads that I created so that they can be customizable to fit those different needs. And if they don't work for you, hopefully then it's just a good maybe jumping off point, gives you a little inspiration for your own creations. Just as an FYI, if you head over to my website, caitlindesilva.com, you'll be able to access a bonus spread as well as photos of all the spreads that you see in today's video. And I think that's it. So let's get into the video. The first spread that I'm going to tackle is the master syllabus/calendar spread. For both school and work, I find I get stressed when I have to rely on my brain to keep track of everything I have to do. So getting things down on paper has always been really helpful for me, and this spread is designed to be a place to remind me of any pressing dates. There's a calendar for the next 4 months, September, October, November, and December, and you can probably tell from my excessive use of whiteout here when creating this spread that I was really struggling to put this layout together because I miscounted my dots, and eventually I just stopped using correction tape and found a way to make the mistake work into the design. So that's why you'll eventually see a decorative striped bottom row underneath each calendar. At the bottom of the spread, I made a key, one set of symbols that represent different types of alerts like tests, due dates, and appointments, and another set of colors that differentiate different categories like school, work, and personal. You could also take this a step further and differentiate colors based on classes or assignments that you have for work, that sort of thing. To add some color to the spread, I used a Tombow in the color 553 to create a drop shadow on each calendar. I'll have this Tombow and all the other products that I used in this video linked in the description box below in case you want to check them out. There's obviously not enough space with this spread to list every detail, but there's a small section beside each calendar to list any particularly important dates. This is really meant just to be an overview spread though. All of the details will be in each month's monthly calendar. And just to give you an idea of how this will look filled in, here are some fake digital entries. You'll see me do this for all of today's spreads because I know the visual of a finished product can be really helpful. Both as a student and a content creator, I've had to figure out effective ways to work and live in the same space. I think something that's hard to do when you're working from home is knowing when to put work away because it can be easy to feel constantly on the clock. One method though of making sure I have a more balance between life and work is having some sort of working from home routine. So this spread is a spot for roughly planning out a routine for the week. I made this one for 7 days of the week because I know sometimes people work on the weekends, and it has an hourly layout from 5 a.m. to midnight so that it's easy to not only assign main tasks to each day, but also to roughly plan when you'll get those tasks done. On the right side is a key to represent the different categories of tasks: school, work, personal, and meals. I know this is a working from home spread, but I find it really important to put in personal and meals into this legend because in my first year of university, my main priority was school, and I think it led to slacking in those other areas. But making time for yourself is important, and the best way to signal to yourself that me time is important is by making it a priority with your time. So I encourage all of you to make sure you're making time for yourself daily, whether it's for a hobby or working out or social time. All of it is so valuable. To remind myself of that, I added this quote from Jana Kingsford that says, "Balance is not something you find, it's something you create." The next 2 pages have a lot of space for filling in information for online work. On the left page, I created 2 rectangular boxes to be a spot for keeping track of digital information like email addresses and passwords. So many people are having to do school online this year, and chances are you'll be relying heavily on emails to your professors and TAs as a way of asking questions and submitting work. The same applies for those working from home and communicating with their boss. So that top rectangle is designated for contact information like email addresses and phone numbers, so it's all in one space. space. And then because online classes and work usually mean signing into various sites to access class content, research, and or join virtual meetings, there's also that bottom rectangle to write that information so it's easy to find. On the right page, I created a spot to write down any goals you have for the semester so that when you are planning things like your working from home routine, your goals are always top of mind. Underneath your goal, there's a spot to reflect on what practical steps you need to get to that goal. And then because I'm always trying to make sure I'm making time for myself, I added a section at the bottom to help reflect on how to make time for mind, body, and soul. For example, if your goal is to get a good mark in a particular class, something that might help you get there is spending 20 to 30 minutes reviewing course concepts each week. Those review sessions can then be booked into your weekly routine. This is a pretty simple 2-page layout, so I think adding my go-to shape confetti at the top and some colored drop shadows really helped to make it a little bit more exciting. During busy seasons of life, I'm guilty of skimping out on my meal choices. It's so easy to opt for something quick and fast, but usually those options aren't the best nutrition-wise. So on this left page, I created a meal idea spread to brainstorm meal ideas for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This spread can be used with a meal planner to schedule in meals for different dates, or it can be used as a what should I make cheat sheet that's filled with meals you actually like. It's an easy spread to create, but one that I think comes in handy when you're busy with other things and really don't have the brain power to figure out food. On the right page, I drew a chart to be a home for a readings tracker. I designed this one to track the readings for one semester for one course. So if you're taking multiple courses, you'll duplicate this for however many you're taking. The chart has a spot each week to check off whether you completed the readings, a column to write down what those readings are, and a column to write down the key points or themes of the week. If you wanted room to write down a bit more information, this could easily be expanded into a 2-page layout. This next 2-page spread is an assignment/project planner. If you've seen any of my assignment trackers in the past, then you know I love creating a spot for a progress bar. So I created a progress bar for this spread at the top of the page with a spot to write down the beginning date of the project and the end date. Below the progress bar is a section to plan out each stage of the assignment on the left column and to track actual progress you're making on the right. Having a spot for planned progress and actual progress makes it easy for you to compare and contrast between the two to see if your assignment is on schedule, ahead, or behind. This layout is pretty similar to another assignment tracker I think I did last year, but I loved using it, so there wasn't too much tinkering I needed to do with it. The layout is pretty minimal, but there's an opportunity to add color into the progress bar as you plan out your assignment and start filling information in. When it comes to creating student weekly spreads, I always like to squeeze in as much as possible to make them as helpful as possible, and to save time also on having to create an abundance of spreads each week for different things. So this weekly spread is a horizontal layout with a rectangle for each day of the week. Within each rectangle, there's a spot to write down a mini to-do list, a spot to track how many hours you worked that day and how many hours you slept the night before. There's also room to do more formal meal planning by figuring out in advance what you'll have each day of the week for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And lastly, there's a section for habit tracking. Everyone's habit trackers look different depending on what things you're wanting to prioritize, but my habit trackers typically focus on tracking hydration, meditation, gratitude, working out, and reading. And not reading for school, reading for pleasure. The 8th rectangle has room for writing next week's important events or due dates, and there's also a spot to write something good that happened during the week. I could have added some more decorative touches to this one, or any at all, really, but I opted to keep it really clean because it'll quickly look more interesting as plans are added to each section. You could even write your plans using a colored pen as a simple way to spice this one up. I never include this many pages in my Plan With Me videos, so I feel like by the end of this filming session, my hand was about ready to fall off. But I definitely think it was worth it because the spreads turned out cute, and I think they're going to be really functional for me. Hopefully for those of you working from home or who are students, there's something in here that will be helpful for your planning needs. Don't forget to check out CaitlinDeSilva.com for that bonus spread. Let me know in the comment section down below which spread in this video clicked with you. And also, if you have any specific video requests that can help you out over the next few months, are there certain tips or organization ideas that you need, leave them below. Hit the like button, the notification bell, the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And I will see you all very soon with a new video. Until then, bye everyone.
Why don't you get it by now? Tell me what you learned in grade school. Give it to me like you want it. Did you forget that golden rule? Why is our love it one-sided?